All right, welcome to the AdaptX podcast, where we have conversations with individuals building accessible businesses, advocating for inclusion, or excelling in adaptive sports. Our intention is never to speak on behalf of those with disabilities, but to provide a platform to share their voice and amplify ideas for a more accessible world. Today, I'm joined by Idan Meir, the co-founder and CEO of RightHere. Since its inception in March 2016, RightHere has been at the forefront of creating a more inclusive world, pioneering the revolutionary category of indoor orientation. Their innovative approach has transformed several thousand facilities worldwide, making them accessible to people with low vision or orientation challenges. Idan, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So we had first connected a few years back, so it's great to circle back and hear how you guys have developed over the years. But maybe take me back to 2016 when you launched the product. What originally led you to pursue this technology?
Yeah, wow, it's 2016. Yeah, it's been a while. We're all celebrating 10 years soon, so unbelievable. Time flies. We started right here with my own challenge. I have horrible orientation skills. I'm one of those friends that always get lost or always turn right when it's obviously turn left because we've been there just 5 minutes ago. And I have a lot of stories I can share about different events in my life where the frustration of not knowing exactly where I am and where exactly I should go led me to a lot of frustrations in life. And when we started right here, we thought that if we'll be able to solve the challenge I have was finding my way around to those that have even more severe orientation challenges, then ultimately we'll be able to solve it for everyone. And we thought, okay, so here's the most severe challenges when it comes to orientation and wayfinding. And then we thought about the blind, visually impaired community. At the time, we had no idea how the community is even using smartphones. So, but yeah, I ever remember the very first brainstorming of that, like, how are they even using smartphones? I'm sure they do. Are you sure? There's no buttons on it. Things that, by the way, you might be surprised, Brendan, or not, because you're so involved in the field. But people are still asking these questions, like even today. Oh, really? Do people who are blind using smartphones? Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
So we didn't know much about the community, and we started to meet with the community and validate our assumption. And we were fascinated and blown away by what we've learned. But the possibilities, the gaps, the impact that it creates to many of them. It was really the type of feedback that I think every entrepreneur or developer hopes to get. Like, if you do that, it feels like you get, that's completely going to change my life. Sure, we're in. Like this is like way better than any other feedback you can imagine, and we just fall in love with the vision, the mission, the opportunity. You know that, Brendan, but maybe for the audience, I'll share that the two facts I'm always sharing. Right, the first one is, at least here in the U.S., wherever you go, you can find Braille signs. Right? I mean, you can find them in elevators usually. You can find them in the entrances to restrooms or meeting rooms. They're all around us. Every hotel, in every room, I should say, every door of every room in every hotel, you can find Braille signs. And this is thanks to the ADA. So that's one fact. So over 100 million of them. And the other fact that a lot of times surprising people is that over 90% out of the blind community cannot read Braille at all.
Yep. Yeah.
So we have like 5 to 10% that can read Braille, and for them finding the sign is a challenge by itself. Like, so how do you know that the sign is there? So there are some standards, but it's still challenging to find the sign. And since COVID, even if you know to read Braille and you've been lucky to find the sign, you do not necessarily want to touch the sign anymore. It's a public surface, and I can go on with that. So what's RightHere has been working on since inception, right? 2016, as you shared, is an audio format of signage. Really, what if we could hear the signage around us and get a better understanding of where we are, what is there, what's around us? That's the type of independence that we're working on building for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I want to dive into the tech, but maybe one more question before we get there. How close was the assumption? So whenever you're creating a product, you have a hypothesis or you have an assumption of what solution it's going to provide. How close was the hypothesis that you had compared to the feedback that you were hearing from individuals who were blind or low vision?
That's a wonderful question. it wasn't on spot, but it was close enough, I would say. So I mean, it wasn't too far. One of the things when we started, like a lot of the thing companies in our field was around navigation. Again, I'm a sighted person, so I guess a lot of people who are sighted that don't have any specific orientation challenges like I have, their main challenge when it comes to wayfinding is navigation. So how do I get to Brandon's office, right? Or how do I get to this whatever room in that hotel, right? To navigate there. Navigation is about taking you from point A to point B, right? Turn by turn, kind of like take me to Brandon's office, turn right, turn left, turn right, turn left. You've arrived. That's what we thought, because that's what's a lot of. I think a lot of companies in our field still believe that that's the main need. What we came to realize fairly soon, I must say, is that actually there is a different challenge that it might be even uh, more urgent, maybe I should say, which is the orientation challenge. So orientation is about knowing where you are again, and the space around you, the relationship with the space around you, where you navigate somewhere. So it's more like signage, right? Signs that you find in different places, they help you understand where you are. They're not necessarily navigating you anywhere. You can possibly navigate based on this information, but it's a different objective, if you will. It's so I always said, in order to find your way, you first need to know where you are, and knowing where you are really requires some focus and attention. It's not as easy to maybe some of the listeners or to whomever. So our understanding that it's more about solving the challenge of orientation rather than the challenge of navigation was about part of this distance that we had, and that's something we've learned from the users in the very, very beginning.
So I guess to differentiate it, there was GPS technology that can get you to a place, but then how do you exist within that space, or how do you navigate that space? And so that's where you guys come in.
Yeah, and I mean, even before talking to our users, we knew that the challenge is in indoor environments where there's no GPS.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was RightHere. You have a whole outdoor experience with GPS, like Google Maps, if you will, but also a whole indoor experience when you get into a RightHere enabled location. Again, what we thought is that the need in the indoor environment is navigation, and it's still a need. There is such a need. It's not like it does not exist. There's definitely such a need.
Yeah.
But there is a different need that we decided to focus on, which is the orientation aspect of it.
Okay. Yeah. So let's dive into that orientation aspect. So you enter a facility or a business that is outfitted with RightHere technology. What is that experience like? So you are blind or low vision, and you walk into a McDonald's that has RightHere technology.
Yeah. So, and yeah, we've been working with McDonald's for years, all of them in Israel. We're currently in over 2,500 locations worldwide. The experience would really be, I can try to explain in more details, but it's really going to be similar to how you will, as a sighted person, will experience signage, right? So you'll see, you're barely going to pay any attention to that, but you'll see, oh, this is like, McDonald's example. Here's a counter, here's the pickup order, or right, or here's the restrooms, or whatever that is. Similarly, going to go with an audio through the app, so users will be able to hear pickup this direction 30 feet, right? Restroom the other direction, 11 o'clock, whatever that is, for 20 feet. They will hear it in their own language. And that was, again, might sound surprising, but we're focusing on people with orientation challenges. They don't necessarily have to be blind in order to experience a challenge, right? I've traveled along a lot of, pretty much in the East, in China and other places. You might see the signs, but it not necessarily tell you anything. Like, what is exactly there, because you cannot read it, right?
Okay, so you view it even as breaking down language barriers too?
Absolutely. Language barriers, it's side challenges, as we talked earlier. It could be cognitive, so you might know the language and you might be able to see, but you might not read it because, right, dyslexia, or it's a long directory or whatever that is. And there's even more audiences. So the experience is really, it's a free app. It's a completely free app, both Android and iPhone. 35 different languages. There's no sign in to the app, so you don't need to exchange your privacy for that. You don't ask your email, your name, your Facebook, whatever that is. You download the app, you'll find in the app what locations are RightHere enabled. Then you can navigate there in the outdoors with GPS. This is where we do provide a navigation experience as well. And once you actually arrive into that facility, the app will start to give you descriptions and of the space. So you are at the main entrance to McDonald's. What is here? We might tell you like the open hours are Monday to Friday, or whatever. It's a kosher restaurant. It's not whatever we want to say about that place. And then what's around you? No matter where you point around with your phone, 360 degrees around you, the app will let you know what is there and what distance, right? So counter 30 feet. Again, as we said before, restrooms 10 feet, whatever that is. There's more features into that. I'm happy to elaborate as much as you like.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll try to ask some questions maybe that prompts that elaboration. But what was the decision, I guess, to make the mobile app free? Did you ever consider some sort of freemium model or a different way to monetize the app?
I love this question. I think it was a very obvious decision for us at the very beginning, working very closely with the community, because it's their right. It's people's right to find their way around independently, just like I find my way around trying to find my way around independently. I don't need to pay anyone or anything for this. It's a human right in my mind. When you think about accessibility, it's all about providing independence. That's what accessibility is all about. So everyone deserves accessibility without, exchanging their privacy or dollars. I've never met a person using wheelchair, for example, paying to use the ramp. It just doesn't make sense to me in any way. Not indoors, not outdoors, not out of space, not underwater, not ever. It should be free, period. Now, how do we as a business make it a successful and sustained business? Okay, it's up to us. In our case, our business model is charging these facilities, but it was very clear for us from day one. It's going to be free, period, for our users forever. So,
beautiful answer.
very proud of this, by the way. And maybe if I may, Brendan, especially now with AI evolving, right? We've been talking here, I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever, and we haven't mentioned AI, right?
I've held it in.
That is true. I think the first podcast ever, we haven't said AI in the first podcast, right? So, but the reason is that with the AI and technology evolving all day, every day, right? I think what's mostly important for people and companies to understand is the principles behind the technology. Meaning that while the technology will keep evolving, the principles behind these products can remain the same. And in our case, the principles of privacy, the principles of having it free, as accessible as possible. So it's also, again, many other audiences, from a universal design perspective, those type of principles we put as foundations at the very beginning. I'm almost 10 years later, still very proud of them and see their.
Yeah, as you should be. Yeah. I love it. I mean, I hadn't even considered the language barriers too, in terms of like if you're traveling in China and you're trying to read the signs and how easily that could be translated to English. So that's a app then that's available for anyone, not just those who are blind or low vision or have orienting challenges.
We're now doing a project here near DC of a very large hospital. Their main reason of having the system there is the language barriers. People are coming from all around the world, really, specialized, hospital, and it's a stressing environment anyway. So being able to find whatever the X-ray or whatever that is there is
yeah. I mean, so you have a product that could theoretically be used in almost any industry or any business. So what is the plan to kind of scale that, or what do you think are the biggest barriers to businesses adopting it?
Right. So that's, on one hand, it's great because it's a huge opportunity for us from an entrepreneurial or business standpoint, right? It's a huge market, right? We really do envision that every space that has a ramp for wheelchair users should have a ramp for the blind or an audio format signage, right? And so that's on one hand. On the other hand, so who do we speak with first? Like, how do we go about it? So what first bite do we make? You might remember from a conversation in the past. At the beginning we were focusing primarily on small environments, really it was easier, from an deployment standpoint, from a decision making standpoint, and others. We kind of shift from that a little bit to more mid-sized to big facilities. Because we see a huge value there, like a bigger value. Also, I mean, there's still a need for orientation in small environments like McDonald's, but we also heard from our users, and we're working very closely with our users. We have our online meetup in 2 hours today. It's a weekly meetup we do. We're Friday. It's every Friday at 1 p.m. We've learned from that there's actually certain locations like hospitals, as I mentioned, and others that have a bigger need. So that's main focus for us, kind of mid to big size facilities. And what was the other question? How do we go about them? Or
I guess what are your barriers to meeting all those needs, and then what are some barriers that you see maybe hospitals? What are the barriers, I guess, of the hospitals adopting the technology as well?
We are grateful for the support of our first show sponsor. Resolution Fitness offers leading brand health club equipment and accessories for residential and commercial use. In addition to traditional exercise equipment, they specialize in adaptive fitness products and wheelchair accessible machines. If you're interested in outfitting your fitness facility or home gym to be more accessible, visit www.resolutionfitness.ca or the link in the show notes below.
Great. So I think the biggest barrier is awareness, and so we're still new to the U.S., right? Just 2-3 years with our operations here in the U.S., and then the first second year, most of our conversations with these type of hospitals or airports or you name it was like, would always sound like, hey, hotel or whatever that is, you have this challenge of, guests cannot find their rooms easily, guests who are blind specifically. But we have this wonderful solution of audio format signage, and usually the other side didn't get that they have the problem at all. They're like, yeah, no blind guest ever asked about that ever. And then they got to this weird conclusion. So probably blind people are not traveling. Oh, come on. Of course they do. Well, so probably not in our hotel. Well, of course they do, because there's... Well, so maybe there's no real challenge. Maybe the Braille signs are just perfect. So they just had no idea that what's the challenge is. And I can get it because nobody ever requests that from them. And we got with that understanding to our community. They said we work very close with them. And they say, well, that makes sense. I don't remember myself asking for this ever. You know what? Let us do it. Let us talk to this hotel manager and talk to him about the challenge and see what happened. Sure. Are you willing to? Well, thank you. Are you really willing to do that? We're going to send you a gift card, please. No, we don't want your gift cards. We want our independence. And we like what you're doing. We're completely aligned with the vision. Let us talk to them and let's see what happened. And yeah, it's been amazing to see how the advocacy by our community is unlocking locations. Then all of a sudden, this hotel manager or whatever, right? Just giving an example, reaching us and say, hey, I got this inquiry from a blind guest. Apparently, we're not serving them properly. I didn't know. 90% cannot read Braille. I knew that. Wow. Tell me more about this. And like, thank you. You've arrived in the right place. So from a customer journey standpoint, the awareness was our biggest challenge. And it's still a challenge. There's a lot of advocacy we're working on, our community is working on, together with different nonprofit organizations, but it's a journey.
Yeah, it's always funny when a business is like, oh, I don't need that ramp. We don't have anyone that uses a wheelchair come in. It's like, yeah, because they can't get into your facility. That's why they don't come in. So, but yeah, I mean, I see maybe even a bigger market with the language piece too, the language translation. So, like, I guess how do you originally started for clients who are blind or low vision? Is there any consideration to not rebrand or refocus, but like, I guess, how do you promote both sides of that?
Absolutely. So we're working on new messaging for 25. I know we're kind of already in the middle of that, but don't tell anyone. But we're working, and you probably will see it already in some of our materials, that we're shifting from being a solution for the blind and visually impaired to being a solution for people with orientation challenges or everyone really, because there's a lot, like really, when you think about language barriers, it's kind of everyone. It's just a matter of where you are. If you're now in China as an English speaker, here you go. If you're a Chinese in an American hospital, here you go, right? So, and obviously there's tons of other countries and languages. So, yeah. So absolutely, it's a way bigger market than just serving the blind or visually impaired.
Yeah. Are you in health clubs? Are you in fitness facilities?
Not in the U.S. yet. Not in the U.S. yet. I think we're having discussions with, I can call them two, like health, fitness, healthcare facilities kind of thing. Maybe with two that I can remember now. One is in LA, the other one is in Colorado. We do have a very big one actually in Israel. And that's yeah. I mean, we talk about it. I mean, I'm excited about this. Maybe, if you want to share, Brandon, about how's the experience there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have ideas and maybe people to connect you with, but so we talked 3 years ago when I was in the process of moving from my original facility to the bigger space that we're in now for my gym, and my hesitancy was that we're not like a traditional health club that has locker rooms and a front desk and all these things. And then the other challenge I envisioned was equipment gets moved around a little bit throughout the day. So we could place a beacon, and maybe I should have you elaborate on how the technology works. We could place a beacon somewhere originally, but then if that thing is not in that same location, it throws off the user, if that makes sense. At least that was the problem that I envisioned. So yeah, I guess maybe backtrack a little bit. Can you explain how the mapping of an indoor facility works?
Yes, absolutely. And again, the technology has been involved since 3 years ago.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
It's actually a new technology we're starting to roll out. Maybe I'll talk about that as well. But yeah, I mean, basically the way the whole system works, it has three main components. The whole system has three main components. One is the app, and iPhone and Android. That's for the end user. That's the end user interface. We're working also, by the way, of having the app not just on mobile, but also on different wearables, smart glasses, etc. So that's the one component. The second component is the positioning infrastructure. We used to work only with beacons. We actually added a new technology, proprietary technology called markers, which is basically, think of it as a smart QR code or a QR code on steroids, where you place them around. Around the facility in this case, and the app will be able, the computer vision will be able to pick them up from a very far distance. So it's not like a QR code where you need to really get close to it and focus and open a link. No. So it's just a graphic element that can be recognized by the phone through our app from a very far distance, very, very quickly in milliseconds. And when that's done, it gives you answers to not just what it is, but also where you are in relation to that. So how far is it and in what direction? So it might tells you the treadmill, right? For example, it's not just telling you what it is, but also treadmill 7 feet this direction. And as you get closer, it's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? That helps us to get a much more precise positioning. And we're combining it also with the beacons, by the way. That's part of what's unique here. And it's way lower maintenance, by the way, from a facility standpoint. There's no hardware involved, really. So that's the second component, positioning. And the third component is the cloud. This is where we control, edit, and manage all the audio descriptions that our users will be able to hear when coming in proximity to the beacon or the marker. Just the beacon, sorry, I kind of skipped that. The beacons are basically Bluetooth devices that once you get into the range of it, again, part of the second component of positioning, once you get close to it, the app basically going to prompt you, where you are. So you are the entrance to that gym or whatever that is.
Okay. So then someone walks into a gym, and I'm thinking like a big YMCA. Are you familiar with the YMCA?
Yeah.
as a business. So I'm thinking like you walk into the YMCA and you say, I want to find where the pool is. How does the app get you there, or what does your experience? And I'm thinking someone who's blind or low vision.
Love it. So that's a great question, because it's helped me again to emphasize again on the differentiation of orientation and navigation.
Yeah.
So again, as a sighted person, if I go to YMCA and I would need to find the pool, what would I do? I would probably look around and see if there's any sign showing pool, arrow.
Yeah.
There. If there is one, I'll probably gonna go that way, and then I'll look for another sign, pool, arrow, this way. Oh, good. And I go to the other side. If there are good signage there. If they're not, I will just ask someone and try to find my way around, and go around and around, and we'll get there eventually after an hour. Right? But so that's exactly what's going to happen with RightHere. It's not like you tell the app, take me to, or I'm trying to get to the pool. It's more about, okay, where am I? Welcome to YMCA. The open hours are da-da-da. If you look that direction, this is where the pool is. So look that direction, this is where the reception desk is. And what the distance, right? 10 feet, whatever. So look that direction, it's the restrooms. Want to go there? Cool, go there. And if there's another beacon there or marker there, another sign, right? Then you'll hear what's there. Right? So that's kind of, so it's less of answering how do I get to certain places, navigation, but more of what's around me. By the way, one of the advantages of that, Brendan, I think it's just relevant for some of the listeners, hopefully. It's this focus on orientation rather than navigation makes the whole uplift of the system of the offering much more affordable and faster and easy. Because when you start doing like navigation, you need to build routes from point 1 to point 2, but also from point 1 to point 3, and from point 2 to 3, from 3 to 2, and to 2 to 1. There's a lot of routing and a much more positioning infrastructure required, because you have to know exactly where is the turn. If you miss the turn, you miss the pull.
Yeah.
Right? So that usually requires much more heavy lifting from a tech perspective and cost.
So say I'm building a gym from scratch and I have currently no signage, no RightHere technology in there. What would I need, or what would kind of be the sequential nature? Would I have to put up signs everywhere? Would I just put markers on equipment?
So basically we'll look together with you on the floor plan that you have, right? And we'll try to build an accessibility plan for your needs there, right? So it could be different if it's a gym, right? Mm-hmm. And then you might have a lot of, tools there and a lot of things that you need to kind of, or machines, right? And things like that. Or if it's something different, as a McDonald's, example, there's not a lot of, like, you don't need to know exactly where the trays are or things like that, just to know where the counter is, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna work with you on what makes best sense from an orientation wayfinding perspective. Where would you place the beacon? Where would you place these markers? And it's a matter of resolution. Even again, for us sighted people, you don't necessarily see a sign to the pool every meter. You see it where it makes sense to put it there, because you get other clues from the environment of where you are, etc.
It's a computer science or a app development project that I can't even begin to really conceptualize and wrap my head around. But like, what was the process like those first 4 or 5 years? And maybe it took us 28 minutes to mention AI. How has AI accelerated the development over the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, I think one of the favors we've done to ourselves, and not just to ourselves, to the industry, because focusing on orientation makes the whole concept to life faster, easier, and independence quicker than navigation, which is still a challenge, right? Even today, when you go as a sighted person, right? Navigation is not unique to the blind and visually impaired community as a challenge. Everyone's experienced that. And therefore, you're still having a hard time to find a solution for that, even by the big Apple, Google companies, indoors. I'm talking indoors. So I think what the favor we've done to ourselves in the industry is focusing on this orientation from the beginning, and that makes the whole experience easier from a development standpoint, I would say. There's still tons of other challenges there, but relatively, I think it's make it easier. With AI, I think what excites us a lot with that is that first, we're already started putting that into work with different aspects of the business, including the development. But I think when we're looking a bit futuristically to the future, right? When you ask ChatGPT or any of these AI solutions nowadays, right? A question like, where is the nearest exit? You won't get a good answer. And there's two reasons for that. One, because they don't know where you are. Precisely, they don't know exactly where you are. I mean, you might be in this building, but we're not sure if you're at this side of the building or that side of the building. It's all one GPS location, right? There's no beacons there. There's no markers there. There's no necessarily Wi-Fi footprint or whatever there. So where's the nearest exit in case of emergency or whatever? We need to know where you are. Second, we need to have the map, which we don't necessarily have because it's not always public info. So the answer you'll get from these AI out there is very limited, and that excites us a lot because I believe with what RightHere is doing, we'll be able to give you really good answers, again, about where you are, what is there, what's around you. It could be different policies of the facility you're at, and yeah, we're gonna do some new launching in the coming months, so worth following. Unfortunately, I cannot elaborate much more than that. But,
that's fine. You got to keep the secret sauce close to your chest. No, that's fine. I would imagine the AI tools don't have the data to be trained on for the orientation of indoor facilities, so they're not really a competitor in that regard. I guess more so, at least from I've heard, that using those tools can accelerate the coding process and some of the tech process. So
absolutely, yeah, it's like a co-pilot type of thing.
Yeah, yep. A business that wants to implement RightHere technology, what's the model like, or kind of what are they looking at for pricing structure and everything? Relationship.
Yeah, thank you for asking this. I'll start from an operational standpoint. It's quick, it's easy, it's fast. It's IT people usually loves us because it's no integration whatsoever with their systems. We don't need the Wi-Fi even. So if you don't have Wi-Fi, your facility, that's completely fine with us. We don't need electricity or anything. Like, we're really standalone systems. So IT people usually like, oh, cool, I don't need to do anything here. It's also making it a lot more secure and private. So that's from a setup. That could be done from 10 minutes in small environments to a couple of hours, making your space accessible with this. From a cost perspective, we also made it very affordable. We've now, as I said, making some changes because of the new technologies we're about to launch to our pricing. So it starts from $360 a year for a very small facility, and it could go up, depends on the complexity and the size and the requirements of that facility. But it is, again, back to the principles we mentioned. And this principle, to be fairly honest, is also very direct to our business objectives. Like, if it will be complicated to make your space accessible, that's not very scalable. We want it to be a no-brainer decision.
Yeah.
Completely no-brainer. Just like having a Braille sign. It's like, you don't put too much thought. Oh, I need that? Yeah, put Braille on that sign. Fine. I don't like it. Doesn't make any difference. So it's kind of the same, making it very affordable and an easy decision for clients is an important piece of that.
Yeah, I could certainly appreciate the principles, but at the same time, you need to be sustainable and successful from a financial standpoint too. So
I mean, there's a lot of locations, right? There's a lot of locations out there. There's a big vision. As I said, we really do want to see every facility. And you know what? I would say that if they have Braille signs at the facility, I think they should also have audio format of signage as well. That's the reality we're looking at. And there's tons of facilities. So
absolutely, yeah. I just imagine the barrier, like you said earlier, is educating the person that it's even a problem, because they're naive to the challenge.
And I hope that there's awareness. I believe that it will also, I mean, thanks to the advocacy we're doing and different nonprofits are doing and the community individuals are doing, I believe we're not too far from the day where demanding it as part of ADA requirement. Because the reason there's so many Braille signs out there is, as you probably guess, as many of the listeners, is the ADA requirement. And when you read the ADA, what you find is that the ADA actually requires you to have effective communication, right, for all. And signage is a form of communication. It's part of it. And 8 years ago, when the ADA was written, the recommendation to have this form of communication, signage, accessible was to put Braille on it. That was the best idea in the room at the time. And the status quo. But we're 2025 now. Is it effective? I guess there's no argument there. So is there a way to make it more effective? Is it reasonable accommodation? I would say it is. So it's just a matter of time. And that's, by the way, I'm very confident about it, Brendan, just because that's what happened online, was online accessibility, right? It's still happening, right? Websites are accessible because lawsuits has followed, and the pressure from a regulatory standpoint became, build up the awareness to the need. So we can like it or hate it, but it's part of how the industry works.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you most excited about for the next year or two, business-wise?
Wow, we have a few really exciting partnerships on our belt coming up soon. I cannot, again, elaborate more, but some of them are very well-known brands that I'm sure all listeners have came across with and probably used. Others are more like smaller ones, but very strategic for us. We're currently completing another round of fundraising, and from a technology standpoint, right, with this AI, I could never imagine that we'll be able to get to the depth of reach orientation experience as we now can finally do with AI. I would never imagine it would be so soon. Right? So I'm super excited about what's possible with these technologies and the growing community that we have. This is really, it's always a great reminder for me and the team, that there's really impact, real people there pushing it together with us as a movement, not just by ourselves. So,
how big is your team that's working on this?
We're less than 10. We're very small, and this team is split between Israel and here, the U.S. We're based in Maryland here.
Do you think a larger team is in the pipeline?
I mean, I never really had these aspirations of becoming a very big, from a headcount type of company. Right? I love it's like commando type of style. We're very small but very highly impactful, influential. So we'll probably hire some later this year, but probably another 3, 5, not that.
Yeah, I just wonder if a team of people working on facilitating partnerships with larger organizations that should be adopting this would allow you to scale in that capacity.
We definitely do work with a lot of other partners that are not like a core team, but like official representatives and affiliates. So we definitely do that, and we're looking for more. So if any of the listeners interested in something like that.
Yeah. Well, I love to hear how it's grown over the years. I've enjoyed following you and really appreciate the work that you all are doing. If someone is interested in learning more about the company or connecting with you, we can include the exact link. We can include the exact links in the show notes. But what's the best platform to connect with you?
Yeah, well, with me, specifically email, it's Idan, IDAN, at right-here.com. And we write RightHere as RIGHT-HEAR, here, like here.com. But I'm available also on LinkedIn and the other, social media platforms. And I'm trying to make myself as accessible as possible. If you have any feedback, anything that I said today was resonating with you or not, please let us know. Let me know. And I guess, Brendan, to you, this is a wonderful platform. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I love the conversation. I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the AdaptX podcast. Our effort to amplify the ideas of our guests and create more inclusive and accessible industries is futile unless these episodes reach a larger audience. If you enjoyed our discussion today, please leave us a rating or a review on whichever platform you use. And if you would like to learn more about AdaptX, the course that we teach to health and fitness professionals and the projects that our organization is working on, you can subscribe to our newsletter through our website, www.adaptx.org. Until next Monday.